So I forgot to include this in the recording that I had just made. I don't know if this video is gonna upload before the other video, so I'm kind of just gonna talk about the topic as if you hadn't heard anything about it yet. So in the last video, the video I just made, talking about I was talking about God and punishment because there's so much controversy about that. Like a lot of people are saying that they don't understand why God punishes people the way he does, or doesn't let humanity do whatever it wants, and all this stuff about hell and what a punishment, how harsh is that, right? So I don't have, it's hard for me to, it's like, well, okay, I mean, I've seen people who aren't really human to me anymore. Let me just open with that. And it's kind of like after getting to know people, I see them just as walking monsters more than people like myself. And I'm glad I could do this on this channel. Like, you guys would understand that, right? Like, you would understand, like, you would see how these people are and kind of understand. So they created a hell for me to live in. And they created that. And I didn't do anything to them, and they still put me in hell. So you got to remember, this is hell. Or they created hell. Now, it's not physical, but it's a spiritual hell. So humanity created hell for me, and I didn't do anything to them in order for them to want to do that. They did it because they really got off on it. So humanity created a hell for me to live in, even though I was pretty nice to humanity. Like, I never did anything to these people, so I was an innocent person, and they sent me to hell, their hell, for fun? For fun? They thought it would be fun. They thought it would be, good sport. They send people to the worst hell that they themselves can create and get away with for fun. And when they get sent to hell for being actual monsters, and somebody, forces them to live in that, then people are like, how evil is that? I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that if they could do that to us, but we're not eternal, but if we were, I'm pretty sure they would. I mean, I think that they would be the type of people who would do that. Like, and so they're the type of people that would do that to us, so they get it done to them. And I mean, they would do it to us. They really would. They force us to live in hell for sport for our entire lives. And, and I'm not God, and I don't know everything. So here's the thing. I actually think that after getting to know people, it makes a lot of sense. Not saying that I wish that on people. I'm just saying that it makes sense. A lot more sense than we want to give credit to it. And honestly, I don't really care how people feel about that. So the thing with God is that we exist, but there are terms, there are conditions for our existence. Like, God gave us this great gift, and there are conditions. And the only conditions that God actually gave us is that we behave and act responsibly towards each other, which make perfect sense. So none of the conditions that God put on the table are inconvenient. And we have pets, and we kind of have like wants and conditions for even our pets, and we don't see ourselves as tyrants or monsters. If I had a pet dog, and a pet cat, and my dog, was hurting the cat or terrorizing the cat or doing these bad things to the cat, I would have a problem with that. So I would try to get the dog to stop, or I would communicate to the dog that I wanted him to stop because I don't like the fact that he's harassing, abusing my other pet. And if he didn't, then that becomes an even bigger problem. So the point is that the only conditions, if you really think about it, that God put on us was that we behave and we don't do like really bad, immoral things or things that are improper. But mainly just treat each other okay. And how reasonable is that? How reasonable? And if we're all going to live together, like he has us all here, then wouldn't he really need to have those conditions? And we would have people who would say, I don't like the fact that I'm going to be punished. And I think God is bad for that. And instead of thinking to themselves, maybe I shouldn't be doing terrible things to people who didn't do anything to me, which if you weren't antisocial, I mean, if you weren't antisocial, you might think like that instead of thinking like, well, you know what, I like hurting people, I like gang stalking, and I like killing people, and I like stealing, and robbing banks and blowing people up. And you know what, I think that rather than say I'm just not going to do that, how about I just say God is wicked or bad for punishing me because I did do that? Like, and you notice how the whole the I shouldn't, maybe I just shouldn't do bad things. You notice that it never comes into these people's heads. They're not even thinking like that. They're not thinking, well, I shouldn't be hurting or harassing people. They're not thinking that. They're thinking, well, what a bad God we have for punishing me so severely because I did these things, because I'm going to do these things. Like, I am literally going to go out there and hurt lots of people. I'm going to do that. So that's going to happen. And the problem is this God who is just going to hold me so accountable for that. So I figured I would just go ahead and, put that out there, and people can, do what they want with that message. I honestly don't care. And the comments just have to stay off because I really just don't want feedback, if I'm to be honest. But let me go ahead and close with that.